How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So in this video, we're going to be doing a Square stock analysis, breaking down some numbers from their recent earnings report. We're going to look at income statement, seeing how the company's growing year over year, and whether or not it's too late to actually get into the stock. I want to break down and kind of put a value on the stock and see whether or not there's more upside. Are we going down from here? And in general, I just want to give you guys my opinion on Square stock. So if you guys find value, as always, hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel and also join our free Discord chat and Facebook group, link down below. And if you guys want 2 stocks from Webull, those are also linked down below. Those are valued up to $1,400. All you have to do is deposit $100 into the account and you get 2 free stocks, and I also get 2 free stocks since it is an affiliate link. So right off the bat, Square stock has been on a roll. If we take a look here on the 4-hour chart very quickly before we jump into some numbers, we can see this stock has gone from $30 in the pits of the crisis on the 18th of March. This is when everything was going crazy. It was at $32 and it's gone up about 5 times. Yes, you heard me right. 5 times. 500% return, roughly from $32 up to about $158, $160 where it did peak out at. And if you guys were watching, Square actually had their earnings leaked, which is why 2 days ago the stock ended up spiking like crazy the day before they were actually supposed to report earnings. So overall, guys, the stock in general is up about 12% in the past 2 days prior to me filming this video. And in my opinion, it's getting a bit overheated. And before we say it's overvalued, there's no upside left, let's look under the hood. Let's look at some numbers. And to do that, we have to go over here to Safari. We have to go over here to Investor Relations. And if you guys don't know, you can do this with any publicly traded company out there. If you want to see their earnings reports, conference calls, the slideshows that are prepped for investors and so forth, you go to that by simply typing in the company. In this case, it's Square. And after that, you type in Investor Relations. And this should be the first thing that pops up, right? So if you're looking at Apple, Amazon, PayPal, whatever, you simply type in that name, then Investor Relations, and then it pops up. So in this case, we're opening up Investor Relations on Square. I actually already have the document opened here, but to show you guys how to get to it, you simply go down here to second quarter 2020, and you click Shareholder letter, right? And that opens up this that I already have opened up. And this goes over all of the financials, risks with the company, what happened in the second quarter, what they're doing moving forward, and so forth. And obviously, we're not going to cover everything since this is a pretty long document, but as always, I'll link it down below in the description box if you guys want to jump deep, a bit deeper into it. But first and foremost, right off the bat, Square saw $1.92 billion in revenue. And actually, before we look at this, we can get more financials by simply looking at the Excel spreadsheet that they sent out, and that is simply this right here, historical financial information. You click that, you get a little Excel here, and I actually already opened it, and you guys can see here, this is the income statement, a GAAP income statement, GAAP, and this is the non-GAAP income statement. And if we take a look here at the numbers, and let me show you guys kind of how to read an income statement. It's very simple. Here we have 3 months ended on June 30th, right? June 30th, the 3 months prior to that, we had 1.9 million. Actually, no, it's in thousands. Add 3 extra zeros on it to make it in thousands. And always look to see what the numbers are written in here, guys. Typically, it says it. You can see here at the top, it says these numbers are in thousands. So you see these numbers here, just tack on 3 zeros if you want to see how much dollar value these numbers are representing. So we see here 1.9 billion in revenue. They had the revenue split up a lot in Bitcoin, guys. A lot of the revenue this quarter came from Bitcoin revenue. $875 million came from Bitcoin revenue. 19 million came from hardware revenue. Subscription and services-based revenue was around 346 million, and the transaction-based revenue was right around 680 million. So right off the bat, this quarter, we can see most of the revenue from Square came from their Bitcoin revenue, the transactions they charge from, Bitcoin. And that's interesting because we're in a time period right now where there's a lot of money printing, a lot of money stimulus. People are looking to take their dollars and put them into other assets, whether it's the stock market, real estate. We're seeing the markets go up, real estate prices go up. Whether it's gold, we're seeing gold shoot up, Bitcoin, right? People are looking to transact and accumulate these different types of assets. So that's kind of why we're seeing Bitcoin doing very well. And I think I wrote this in my notes. I was reading a CNBC article. Bitcoin revenue, guys, the Bitcoin gross profit increased 700% year over year, and the Bitcoin revenue itself increased about 600% year over year. I mean, take a look at where it was last June 30th. In June 30th, 2019, for the 3 months ending June 30th, 2019, it was at 125 million. So from 125 million Bitcoin revenue up to where it is right now at almost 900 million. That is ridiculous. That is roughly a 600% increase in that revenue. And you guys can see down here, looking a bit under the top line of 1.9 billion in revenue, the total gross profit came in just shy of 600 million in gross profit, and then you take out the operating expenses from that being around 619 million, and that means Square ended up seeing a loss of an operating income loss of 23 million, and the net income loss after all of these expenses taken out here, they ended up losing around 11 million. And when it comes down to growth stocks, guys, Square being a growth stock, it's clearly not a blue chip, J&J, McDonald's, stable stock. It's growing, right? There's a lot of growth ahead of it as well. We're not looking too much at EPS. Quite honestly, I could care less about EPS when I'm looking at Square. I'm honestly looking more at the GPV, the total, transaction volume for the company. I'm looking at revenue growth year over year. I'm looking at how much revenue they're making when it comes to year over year. That's what I'm focused more on when it comes down to growth stocks as opposed to EPS, because a lot of the time, most of the time, all of the time pretty much with growth stocks, they're investing all of their profits, reinvesting their profits. They're not really focused on churning out a profit. So taking a look at the income statement, that's pretty much it, right? 1.9 bill revenue, they made about 11 million, or they lost about 11 million when it comes down to net income. And taking a look here a bit further into their different segments, the segment information, this shows a bit more about how they made their money based on their different kind of revenue streams here. Their seller ecosystem transaction-based revenue came in at 628 million. The subscription and services-based revenue came in at 75 million. Hardware revenue, like we said before, 19 million. Bitcoin revenue is not listed here, but it was around 870 million, whatever it was. And that ends up coming out to gross profit of around 315 million here. Cash App ecosystem. Cash App, guys, is very big for Square. If you guys know, PayPal, its competitor, has Venmo, and Venmo pretty much goes head to head here with Cash App. Cash App transaction-based revenue around 53 million. Subscription and services-based revenue around 271 million. Here we see that Bitcoin revenue. It wasn't on the seller ecosystem. It's here on Cash App. Under that, we can see total gross profit for this segment around 281 million, and that you add those up together, and that is what gives you that GAAP IS of around 596 million. But either way, that is what we're looking at here when it comes down to these brief numbers on Square, when it comes to, down to their segments, their income statement, and so forth. And again, I'll link this down below so you guys can jump in and look at this a bit further. And if we're going back to Safari now, quickfs.net, this goes to show how quick the business of Square has been growing ever since 2012. You guys can see in 2012, revenue was at literally $203 million. The following year, $500 million. The following year after that, 2014, $850 million. And then you can see here in 2019, they did around $4 billion rather, in total revenue. So the growth on this stock is immense. It's incredible. And one thing you guys have to note when you're looking at growth stocks, it's kind of hard. It's difficult to put a value on them because they're growing so quickly, and it's kind of difficult to predict their future growth because one year they grow 30%, then 40%, then 20%. It's not as stable as some of these companies we mentioned before, the blue chips like McDonald's, J&J. What we know about those companies is, let me pull it up for you. They grow very consistently. It's very easy to kind of extrapolate the 10-year growth, projected growth of Johnson & Johnson, and then figure out, kind of reverse engineer a stock price for Johnson & Johnson based on, okay, we see 3% growth every year. Let's extrapolate that out 10 years and then do reverse engineering. It's kind of difficult to do that with growth stocks, which is why you're seeing a lot of these growth stocks trading at ridiculous multiples. They're trading at sky-high valuations, and they continue going up. It's crazy, right? You see Amazon with a ridiculous valuation keeps going up. It defies traditional valuation metrics. Same thing with Shopify. Same thing with, a lot of the FANG stocks, Apple. A lot of these companies are overvalued. It's hard to put a value on them, and they continue pushing up. So I'm thinking the same thing here with Square. It's difficult to put a price target on it, but at this point, being around $150 per share, it already 5x'd from where we were before, in March. One could argue it is a bit overheated. Now, going back over here to the investor relations slideshow, again, link down below. Total revenue, $1.9 billion. Gross profit, around $600 million. Net loss, $11 million. We already went over all of these different metrics. And now I just want to read over this first little section here, letter to our shareholders, what they had to say to the shareholders for quarter two. So in the second quarter, total net revenue grew 64%. 64% growth is nothing to scoff at, guys. That's ridiculous. That's year-over-year growth. And gross profit actually grew about 28% year-over-year. The Cash App ecosystem delivered strong profit growth of 167% year-over-year as the network was able to scale to more than 30 million monthly transacting active customers in June. Cash App remains the focus on helping Cash App customers access our broader ecosystem of financial tools, including the Cash Card. In our seller ecosystem, gross profit was actually down 9% year-over-year during the second quarter, although seller GPV, gross payment volume, we talked about that earlier. I like looking at this metric to grow year-over-year, although despite that, it's actually down at this point year-over-year. Decline, you guys can see it here, declined in the second quarter of 2020 on a year-over-year basis. The GPV trends in the seller business actually improved sequentially each month in the quarter, driven primarily by sellers resuming operations as CV-related restrictions eased. And one thing you notice here with Square, guys, with the business itself, it's focused a lot on smaller businesses, meaning there is a bit of inherited risk during the time period we're in right now. As CV, it's seeing another case, an increase in cases as we're filming this video right now. This puts small businesses at risk of closing. And since small businesses, again, they use a lot of Square's products, they use Square a lot, this is a bit risky. But one thing we'll see a little bit later in this video, online transactions are actually increasing here for Square. And many of these companies they rely on are smaller businesses such as coffee shops, restaurants, right, through its in-person payment terminals. And many of these brick and mortar businesses, like I said, were forced to close their doors. Gross profit for Square's core seller business fell 9% year over year to $316 million. Square's gross payments volume, again, I look at this metric very closely, was actually down 15%, 15% year over year. So this obviously is due to everything going on right now. If there was no crisis, no pandemic, the numbers would definitely be up. They'd definitely be up year over year, and that's no doubt in my personal opinion. And you guys can see it here, scaling and expanding our online offerings. Like I said, they're slowly moving from more small businesses, slowly moving to online, although they do focus a lot more on small businesses still. Our sellers have adapted their businesses to reach their customers in new ways. In the second quarter, GPV from online channels was up more than 50% year over year and made up more than 25% of our seller GPV. 1 in 3 online store sellers onboarded in the second quarter were new to Square. Let me repeat that. 1 in 3 online Square or store sellers onboarded in the second quarter were new to Square. So that's good. 1 in 3 people are new. A lot of new people are jumping onto Square. New people means new business, means more future GPV, which should grow after we get out of this crisis. Very, very good news here. And you may be saying to yourself, the Cash App revenue was only great because of Bitcoin. Well, the truth is, Bitcoin did very well, 875 million roughly in revenue. But if we take out the Bitcoin, excluding Bitcoin, take a look here, I'm highlighting it for you guys. Excluding Bitcoin, Cash App revenue, it was 325 million, which was up 140% year over year. 140% year over year. That's very, very good. And that ended up driving an uplift in acquisition of net new transacting active Cash App customers, as well as a strong adoption of products such as the Cash Card, Boost, Direct Deposit, and Bitcoin investing. So despite Bitcoin doing very well, if we take that out, the Cash App revenue was still up 140% year over year, which is absolutely incredible. And no doubt about it, Cash App engagement, you guys can see it here, it also benefited from the disbursements of the CARES Act, which is the money people got during this crisis, that particular stimulus, and the programs and the unemployment benefits, including a portion of customers who direct deposited these payments into their Cash App accounts. So that's something worth considering. That could have skewed the numbers a bit, but still, nonetheless, very, very strong numbers. So overall, guys, I think we went over a ton of metrics. This video is running about 20 minutes at this point, and you guys get the gist of it. Square did very well, no doubt about it. They crushed revenue, they crushed EPS, but the one thing worth noting is, the GPV, the gross product volume, or what's it stand for again? Gross payment volume. That is down year over year. That's because of the crisis here. So that is one of the main metrics that I'd say is negative. Other than that, mostly positive. Other than that, mostly very strong numbers when it comes down to Square. And you guys can see even here, you can see the visuals once again. Very strong, except for gross payment volume. It's pretty much very strong year over year growth. So when it comes to the stock now, again, it's very hard to put a value on it at this point. It's rallying pre-market. It's down from 158 down to about 144 here in the pre-market session as I'm filming this video. Rallied back up to 148. My buying it at this point, Probably not. Another metric worth looking at is the price to sales ratio. Take a look at that when it comes to Square. I'll probably post a screenshot here. It's probably a bit overshot when it comes to the price to sales. But either way, I'm looking at Square. Next big market crash. I'm not sure if we'll get one, but next time the market takes a hit, I'm going to add more to my Square position, whether Square gets under $100, under $80. I'm thinking here at this point, guys, it probably won't get under 100 unless we get a big market crash. But then again, nobody knows. And for me, I'll probably buy at 100. I'll probably buy anywhere under 120. And that's the thing with the stock market, guys. You have to be patient. You have to curate a watch list of stocks, and not necessarily buy them right on the spot. That's why it's called a watch list. It's not a buy right now list, right? You simply watch the stock, you wait and see, okay, you understand the value, you understand what the company does. Now you wait and see if the stock drops, if it gets to attractive levels for you. That is when you turn it into a buy. That is when you take it from a watch stock to an actual investable stock. So that's it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on Square? What are your thoughts on this stock moving forward? Is it overvalued? Is it undervalued? Me, I think it's a bit fair to overvalued at this point, and I'd like to see it pull down. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and don't forget to claim your 2 free stocks if you want free money. That's linked down below. Those are valued up to $1,400 on the Webull app, a great platform that I personally use all the time. All you have to do is deposit $100 and you get 2 free stocks, and I also get 2 free stocks as it is an affiliate link, and it does support me and all the free content that I'm putting up here on YouTube. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, good luck in the markets. Stay safe out there. Peace out.